Hello, and get that down here. Those are just a couple of iconic catchphrases synonymous with my next guest, a true legend and a staple in Canadian basketball, the one and only Jack Armstrong, the longtime color voice of the Toronto Raptors. So, whether you're a diehard Raptors fan like me, a casual listener, or just here for some great stories, Jack and I go all the way back to his early beginnings, break down the final stretch of the Toronto Raptors season, and share real advice for young broadcasters looking to make their mark in the business. So, without further ado, here's Jack. Thank you, Jack, so much for taking the time to come on the pod and share your stories and your wisdom with us here today. It's so nice to have you on.
Wow, my pleasure. Glad to be on with you. Good morning.
Good morning. I want to get things started by understanding where your passion for the game of basketball came from.
Wow. Well, my passion for it came, I guess I would say, growing up in New York City and playing ball as a young kid in the schoolyards of Brooklyn. And it's the city game. So everybody is very passionate about sports and in particular basketball. It's a big part of your identity. It's a big part of the fabric of the neighborhood you live in, the community you live in. So to me, I just kind of got thrown into it like every other kid. And, the love of the game and the excitement that people have for it just kind of sweeps you up. So I'm really, really fortunate that at that early stage of life, I was able to uh, get into it and have fun with it.
And at what point did you know that, you know what, I could be doing more with the game?
Um, you don't figure that out till you're probably in your late teens,
Yeah, yeah.
when you start to kind of look at your life and say, all right, where am I going with this? And I, I was not the greatest of players. I was always that kid that was in the huddle telling guys where to go and kind of like uh, a student of the game and played it and loved it. And yet, you look around, you go, that guy's better, that guy's better. I got to figure out a way to stay in it. And, for me, I loved the game and coaching in my neighborhood. They needed somebody to coach a team, and I started doing it and got the bug for it and really loved it. And then one thing led to another. I went back and coached at my high school, Nazareth High School in Brooklyn, and then I got coached at Fordham University, and it just took off from there. So really, I spent a lot of time on it. Ran a summer league in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. Used to go work a ton of basketball camps in the summer. Um, every opportunity that I could possibly find to be in the game and learn the game and be around basketball people, I did. So it was just for me, it was an absolute love affair. I love doing it, and I'm still at a point in my life where it brings great joy and gratification on a daily basis.
I love how much joy that it brings because it brings that same amount of joy to me. And just we can hear it on the airways when we listen to you and Matt on TSN. I want to know, is there any aspect of coaching that you miss being that you were doing it for 10 years at Niagara?
Uh, I mean, the thing that I'd miss probably would be, the relationships you have with
Yeah.
your players, your staff, um, the support staff. Those types of things are really important. And I feel like I have those anyway in what I do now, which is great. Um, Obviously, it's a different level when you're actually the coach or a coach or whatever, the impact you can make.
Mhm.
So to me, I think that would probably be the thing that you miss. I don't miss the recruiting. I don't miss the craziness of the pressure, the winning, the losing. And I definitely don't miss what coaches are going through now, and that is, the name, image, likeness, and the transfer portal at the collegiate level. Um, sadly, I think the value system in the whole thing has changed dramatically, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, not for me.
Yeah, it is changed dramatically from, I guess, what we used to know it as. Now it's more of the money plays a big factor into it now as well. Was there a standout or a favorite player that you loved coaching that comes to
Um,
mind?
I would say I'd be disrespectful if I name one. I
Mm.
would just say I'll say the type.
Yeah.
Uh, the type of player I loved coaching was the one that was a self-starter,
Mhm.
that was motivated, that got in the gym and put the work in and loved the game, and was a caring, loving, responsible teammate, that cared as much about his teammates' success as his own. Um, and cared about the team, cared about winning, and cared about putting the work in, and put we and us before I and me. So that would be the type of player that I love. But I wouldn't want to single out one because there's so many of them that I love coaching, overwhelmingly love coaching. So I wouldn't single out one, but that player type would be the one that would definitely be the one that I'd want. And to this day, I would want.
That player type that you mentioned, um, I know one of the things that you really, as you mentioned, is like a gym rat, someone who's dedicated to their craft, who's out there, who's doing the work. One of them that has stood out for me, I think, in this rookie class has been Collin Murray-Boyles. And we have, I know we've touched on him, but what do you find? Do you find that he resonates with those attributes that you uh, like in a player?
Yeah, look, he's undersized.
Yeah.
He's got to play up a position because of his size, and I think he has great determination and toughness. And he's a very willing passer. He's a great teammate because, kind of like a Scotty Barnes, he's very selfless in terms of he enjoys providing success to others,
Yes.
and he's an incredibly versatile defender. He's got tremendous strength. Um, he's a talent, but not only is he a talent, he's a guy that has good attributes about how he carries himself and how he plays. So with the ninth pick, I thought the Raptors did a really, really good job getting him. And I've really enjoyed watching him play and calling his games. I think he's got a chance to have a really, really nice NBA career.
I completely agree. And can I just tell you how I don't know where this came from, but that is my son's favorite player.
Well,
Um,
not a bad guy to model yourself after.
yeah.
Again, like he's someone that goes out there and doesn't back down and plays very, very hard all the time. And yet, you can look out there and you can see sometimes that he's still figuring it out because he's a
Yes.
rookie and he's been thrown into the fire sometimes. And the thing that I've been impressed with, I've said it on the air a few times, is the fact that. Um, when Jakob Poeltl was out, he got
Mhm.
thrown to the wolves, and he's out there playing against frontline, basically starting players, and now you get a better sense and evaluation of what he can and can't do, because you always want to judge someone against how they play when they play against the best. And to me, I that's what jumped off the page at me is the fact that he's really shown that he has the ability to be something really special.
I completely agree. Even with his injury too, I mean that he sustained when playing against Miami, he's been in and out of the lineup, but he's consistently finding ways to adjust the way he performs despite the injury.
Yeah, and it's not easy either, and
No.
obviously every game you play, you're gonna take a hit on that hand. And don't forget the fact that the other team knows that he has an issue with his hand. So I'm sure occasionally he'll get whacked. And he's so active defensively as well. And not only do you have to be incredibly active with your feet, but you got to be active with your hands. So he's going to take some shots to that thumb. And so I'm sure there's a a part of his game night in, night out that's affected by that,
Yeah.
and the pain that you have to play through, and they talk about pain threshold. He's definitely having to deal with that.
Exactly, and I think it does help that Yak is back in the lineup, adjusting, coming off the bench. But uh, at the same time, as we enter this final stretch run of the season, what are your thoughts on the Raptors? I know you did mention that this season compared to last, they're a fun team to watch. But what expectations, I guess, do you have on them as we close out the season and enter into the playoffs?
Well, a few things. Number one, currently as we chat, they're 11 games over 500. They haven't been in that position since the end of the season in 21-22.
Mhm.
That's
The
what
last time they
that's
made
the
the playoffs.
last time they made the playoffs. So to me, it's been a season of tremendous growth, and I think they're further ahead of where I thought they'd be. I thought they had a chance to, be a play-in team or maybe a play-off team if everything clicked. But to be 11 games over 500 right now, I'm really pleasantly surprised, not
Mhm.
shocked, but a little, just it's been a fun story, and this is a fun young team. They don't have a lot of playoff experience, and even the guys that do haven't been, the prime guy to have to carry
Mhm.
their team. Like Scotty Barnes made the playoffs, that 21-22 team, but he was a younger player. He
Yeah.
was a rookie on that team, and Brandon Ingram's had his moments, and R.J. Barrett and Quickly, but they weren't the prime guys. And Jakob Poeltl again was a complimentary player and has been in the playoffs. And then you got all those young guys off the bench who've never been in it. So it'll be an interesting journey here these last 25 games of the season. But to be where they are right now is a really nice accomplishment, and they just want to keep building on it.
What do you think they need to do in order to beat the teams that are on top of the standings? I know that they've had their challenges with the likes of the Celtics and the Pistons, but what is it going to take for them to kind of get over the edge? I know you've spoken about it on the broadcast, but if you could elaborate, I guess, more on what that
Well,
looks like.
I think I call it per play. Your ability per play to stay in the moment and really play at a high level in a 24-second block. Um, and I think the better teams expose you in those little mini games.
Mhm.
And and in many cases, you're playing a tremendous number of little mini games where every possession and the quality of talent, the quality of execution gets exposed a little bit, and just not only those two things, but experience playing at a high level and what the demands are, what it takes. And I think the only way you can improve on that is you go through it and you get exposed and you say, the next time I'm in this situation, I'm going to react differently to it. Because, the old line, 10% is what happens to you, 90% is how you deal with it.
Yep.
And life is about learning, life is about growing from setbacks. And that's the beauty of sport. So I think for the Raptors, and look, we're chatting on a Monday, the 23rd of February, and tomorrow night and Wednesday night, the Raptors play Oklahoma City and San Antonio, two of the top teams in the Western Conference. And so they're going to have to play really, really well to have a chance to win those games. And I think a lot of it comes down to you can't have little mini breakdowns, micro breakdowns. They're not macro. A lot of times they're micro. But if you have enough micro breakdowns, it's going to lead to the macro. It's going to lead to a 12-2 run. Now you got to call timeout and you're down 9. And you're
Yep.
like, where do we go from here? And I think that's what's happened to the Raptors, that big wave comes in and you're not expecting it, and you get the face plant.
Yeah.
Uh, so a lot of it is that you got to really, and that's part of maturity. And I've lived it as a coach. That you have to and that you have to instill with your team, and the attention to detail and doing the little things right. And within a 24-second sequence, and you're guarding them, that you can't have little mini breakdowns, because you have one or two little breakdowns that leads to a overwhelming one, where now you give up an easy shot or a dunk, or on the offensive end, you don't stay committed to your pattern, or committed to the concepts that you normally do, the habits that are formed,
Mhm.
and it
Yeah.
becomes problematic. So I think it's just a matter of you got to tighten the screws and dot the I's and cross the T's. And I'm sounding too much like a coach, um,
I love it.
but that's the
Yeah.
reality of it. Really, when you play good competition, it's like the golf analogy. You play golf with a really good golfer. Uh, they make their putts.
Mhm.
They're a scratch, or they're +1, or a 1 handicap, or a 2 handicap. There's a reason why they're there, and you're on the green with them. You might get there, but now you 3 putt, and so now, they get a birdie or a par, and you're a bogey or double bogey. So it's the little things. And I think for the Raptors to grow and keep getting better, that's the big part of it, is just trying to make those adjustments and get better at it. It's easy for me to say, it's hard to do.
I completely understand exactly how it is, and I feel like with Darko and his coaching staff under the helm now for 3 seasons, the continuity and the consistency that they've been able to work with this team, I think, has definitely helped in, as you've mentioned before, buying into what they're doing and how they kind of want to go about it as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned it on the game yesterday, which was at Milwaukee, that, you always can tell, in my opinion, with a player or with a coach, what happens in the third year. And where's that logical progression? And I use a silly analogy, but creep, crawl, walk, run. I want to see walking at the very least in the third year, where you see sparks, you see the light, you see what this vision is. Like, what's this coach's vision, and how does the team reflect that vision? And this is a hard playing, defensive oriented team. Um, so that's one. Two, they are selfless and share the ball, and that's an identity.
Mhm.
And so those are a few things that you're building on, and there's a great vibe and brotherhood on their team that he has created. So, like, to me, I look and go, that was a successful hire by Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster when they made the decision to part ways with Nick Nurse. Now, look, I was a huge Nick Nurse fan,
Same here.
and I was not a fan of the move. And he's a great coach, and
Mhm.
it was unfortunate, and that's how this business rolls sometimes. But they made the decision. So now, when you make that decision, you better get the next guy right.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they did. And he has done a really, really good job. He's a good man. He's a terrific basketball coach. Um, Guys respect him. They play hard for him. They like him. He's done a really, really good job. So I can't say enough good things about what Coach Darko and his staff have done. I'm super impressed. And, there's going to be some challenges along the way as you go along, because this team is not a fully finished product yet. You
Mhm.
got a lot of young guys that are still working their way through figuring things out. And, so are they an NBA champion this year? I'd say that's a stretch. Um, but I'm really fascinated to see how, they finish this regular season journey, and what postseason looks like. But to be even talking about this stuff, considering the fact that they haven't made the playoffs for a few years, and it's been a tough run of late. So to me, it's pretty, to not make the playoffs 3 years in a row, and for the last 5 years, and to be where they are now, it's an exciting time again.
It is. And they're getting the buzz south of the border too. When I'm turning on my TV and I'm seeing some conversations around the Raptors. It obviously excites me being a fan, being someone who has been in those positions before. I would love to understand and ask you, is there a favorite season for you in covering the Raptors through this journey that stands out?
Well, obviously, winning a championship in 2019 has to be at the top of the list. I'd be nuts if I didn't say that. So
Yeah,
that goes
absolutely.
without saying. I would say the 2013 2014 season would be probably second on that list because um, that was kind of like, in the words of Pat Riley, the perfect storm. I mean, the innocent climb. It was also a perfect storm where you made the Rudy Gay trade, and suddenly with Sacramento, and things just started to click
Mhm.
out of nowhere, and the team took off. And ended up winning the Atlantic Division and played a 7-game series against Brooklyn. And the Raptors had been down for a while, and the city just absolutely out and out embraced the team and the Raptors, and the first time with Jurassic Park and We the
Yeah,
North and all that stuff. It
the
all
F.
clicked.
Brooklyn bomb.
It was a remarkable time. And then there's been a lot of other times, Vince Carter, that great series against the Knicks, and then unfortunately losing in 7 against the Sixers. I've been with the Raptors 28 years, so I've had the
Yeah,
opportunity to be around a lot of these things. And, so there's been a lot of, you get to the conference finals a few times during that stretch between 2014 and 2020, and that was great. But definitely the championship season would be a number one right at the top of the list.
you were with Matt making when he made the call to the that at in Golden State as well, right? Yeah,
Yes, yeah, we called the game together on TSN, and it's funny. You look at yesterday with the Olympic gold medal game in hockey, uh, and that when you have the opportunity to call a game like the Raptors Warriors in Game 6, you have the eyes of a nation on
yes,
you. That's the highest rated basketball broadcast ever in Canadian television history. So that's a pretty cool opportunity as a not only as a coach or a player or a ref or whoever is taking part, but when you're calling the game for a whole country, uh, that's a pretty cool privilege. So yeah, so that to me, it's funny that season was so crazy, so busy, and then you win a title, and the demands on your time are so insane. I didn't even get a chance to watch that actual game until October of
wow,
2019. It's funny. I had a trophy party at my house in October 2019. We were already a few games into the next season,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so I finally had a big party at my house on an off night between games. So I had the replay of the game rolling on the TV at my house. And then finally, at the end of the night, when everyone left, I literally was exhausted, but I sat on my couch and said, you know what, I'm going to finally sit and watch this game. It all comes back to you.
Right?
But a lot of times, when you're in the moment, you don't really get an opportunity to really absorb it. Uh, and 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 honestly, in what I do for a living and what most people in professional college sports do, you're always looking at the front windshield, not the rear view mirror.
Mhm.
So I think fans are more sentimental than players or coaches or whoever. You're just getting on to the next gig, the next game, the next season. Um, you don't have an opportunity too much to be that sentimental. But when you do, it's pretty nice.
It is. It's it's funny because I remember that season, and for me, being a fan, being away from the broadcast and doing all the work with NBA Canada, I had a time to reflect, and I'm like, oh, all of those newspaper clippings that I used to collect, all those writings in my agenda where I wrote game summaries, YouTube videos, they all culminated into like this moment for me. I've dedicated, as Will Liu from Hello and Welcome has put it, he's dedicated his life to covering the Raptors. In some capacity, I've also done the same because I'm dedicated to watching the games every day. Like I cannot miss a game. Like these are my priorities, you know. And I've got my son involved into it too. So it's crazy how the game of basketball can just take you so many different places and evolve with it too. The team.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I have to speak at a conference for high school students on Wednesday here in Toronto before the Spurs game Wednesday night, and that'll be one of the things I say. I can't thank that Orange Bowl enough,
Yeah.
because the opportunities and the experiences I've had in my life, so much of it has been impacted by the love affair I have for the ball. And that love affair started when I was 6, 7 years old, dribbling a basketball in Brooklyn, New York. And here I am. Uh, but for many kids, it might not be that love of the ball. It might be that they love to sing, or they love to dance, or they play the guitar or the piano. They love the law. They love medicine, social work, whatever it may be. Um, you got to find that thing in your life that you got a passion for and roll with it and go with it. And, I can't thank that Orange Bowl enough because I'm 63, just turned 63. And, I think back, I mean, man, I don't know, since I was 6, 7 years old, and here I am. And, thank goodness somewhere along the way I fell in love with it, and
Mhm.
I've been able to have the greatest experiences in my life. My best friends in my life are from when I played or when I coached or even now as a broadcaster. The people I've met along the way, it's just been a remarkable journey. And so when a kid says to me, "Hey, I love playing the piano," I'm like, "Go for it, man. If
Yeah.
that's what you want to do, that's your thing. Go with it." You know, uh, it's worked out for a lot of people, and and you might get to a point where um, it doesn't work out, but
Mhm.
nonetheless, that you can look back on it, look at yourself in the mirror, and say, I'm glad I gave it a shot. And not everyone ends up being Elton John, the piano man, but nonetheless, um, you know, uh, there's still a lot of great things.
I I completely agree because I can't thank you and Chuck and all the people enough for allowing us the opportunity to hear the commentary that you brought to the game, from radio to television to everything in between. I mean, the calls, uh, you and Matt, and the chemistry that you guys have. I listen to other broadcasts and it's just not the same. Like you guys bring so much fun, so much energy, so much happiness into it. Like, I mean, you'll tell it like it is, Jack. And that's one thing I completely appreciate about how you go about doing it too. And you've said it on other podcasts as well, in terms of just the lessons that you try to bestow onto learning the game for those average fans who are watching too. And completely appreciate that.
Well, what you see is what you get. I genuinely respect, more importantly, love Matt. He's a dear friend, and that comes out. We have a great time together. So there's a tremendous respect and brotherhood and relationship there. That's chemistry, and to me, that's important. And we can read each other, and I can tag him, and he can tag me, and um, that's part of it. And I love working with him. I've been really blessed the last 18 years to work with Matt. I think he's incredibly talented, and to me, I try to be the same person. Like I can't do fake. Like
Mhm.
I am who I am, and I'm going to be who I am. And if that doesn't work for you, so be it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be myself. And the greatest compliment I can have is when someone says, "Hey, you're the same guy in person than you are on TV." Like there's no real difference. You're a guy I'd love to have a beer with. That's a great compliment. When I hear people say that to me, that's important, because the title you have and it's not what you do that matters. It's who you are that is what matters, and that's important. So I'm gonna call it straight, and I'm gonna tell you what I think. And I'm far from perfect. I'm gonna make my share of mistakes, but no one's gonna poke more fun at me than me myself. When I goof up, I have no problem. I don't take myself that seriously. I take the work seriously, but
Yes.
I don't take myself seriously. So, in a business filled with ego and a lot of that, uh, I'm not into all that.
No, I and on this pod, I want us to also end with a little bit of fun as well. I love to do a little bit of rapid fire. So whatever comes to your head, please go for it.
That's
Uh,
dangerous.
this will be fun. Most underrated Raptor ever, in your opinion?
Ooh. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
Alvin Williams, my colleague. Alvin was in those early days of Raptor teams. I just thought he was an incredibly, just a glue guy who played the game so hard, fiercely competitive. I have such respect for how he played and how hard he did everything. And I felt so bad for him that physically he kind of broke down at the end of his career, couldn't have played longer.
Mm,
But Alvin definitely was the first. And then the other guy I would say Amir Johnson. Um, Amir just was a guy to me that really, night in, night out, just did whatever it took to help his team win. Kind of an unsung guy and a really nice guy and a good guy.
yeah,
But those would be two guys off the top of my head that would kind of define. Again, you talk about the player type. If I had the opportunity to coach an Alvin Williams or a Mia Johnson, where do I sign up?
I remember Dwayne Casey said that Amir Johnson was one of his favorite players to ever coach too. So
Yeah,
that and Alvin, he was one of the first jerseys I ever got. Alvin Williams.
that's great.
Loudest arena moment you've ever experienced.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
The loudest arena moment that you've ever experienced.
Loudest arena moment. Ooh, wow. You know, um, I would say hard to say. I would probably give you places that when they erupt, you shake. Uh, Definitely Madison Square Garden. Definitely Boston,
Mhm.
Philadelphia. Like when you're in a big game, and we've had the opportunity when I've been with the Raptors to play these teams in big games. Those would be three. Utah, interestingly enough, when their teams are very good, the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
their arena's set up gets crazy loud. Um, Portland, when they were rolling,
Mhm.
was another really, really tough place where the fans just it got loud. And I would say the old arena uh, uh, in Golden State, where when they were in Oakland, to me that was that building. It was just incredibly loud and really intense. So those would be a few. Um, to me, but I don't know if I could put my finger on a loudest moment, but those would be a few places that jump off the page at me in terms of when the crowd goes just ballistic.
And one word to best describe Raptors fans.
Well, I don't know if I have one. A few words I would describe.
Yeah.
Uh, Number one, because people ask me a lot, kind of describe the Raptor fan versus a Leaf fan.
Mm.
And I would say the Raptor fan is younger, uh, curious,
Mhm.
um, passionate, um, goes to the game with a fun mentality, uh, multicultural. I think the great celebration of Toronto is that it's like you go to a Raptor game, it's like the United Nations.
Yeah.
Everyone's represented and
Yeah.
everyone's there pulling for the same thing. And it's really cool to watch. And that's a great celebration of what Toronto means to the GTA and Canada in general. Um, and just I would say from when I got here in 98 and started with the Raptors in the 98-99 season and to where it is now, educated. This is a
Mm.
fan base now that, I would put with any other fan base of Boston or New York or Philly, those gritty, NBA markets, that this is an educated, this market is, they're on it. They know what they're watching. They know good basketball. They know good coaching. They know good players. They know good refs, and they know what they don't like. And they tell you, compared to maybe what it was when I first got here, where it was a new game and kind of a new thing. But the game has grown up, and obviously, Canada's number two in the world in representation in the NBA in terms of players. So the nation is basketball savvy now.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely is. And I love to end on any piece of advice that you have for students who are up and coming broadcasters who want to be doing something in sports. Uh, what would that message be?
I would say that you got to value the fact that you got to be a good storyteller. You got
Mhm.
to have passion. Uh, I think we're obsessed too often now with how many clicks I get, and you got to say something outrageous, or people won't pay attention to you. No, be a good storyteller. Be real. Be authentic. Do your work. The truth matters. Being honest matters. All those things matter. And throw yourself in the deep end. Um, you know, get the experiences in each area of of uh, of the business, because you never know where it's going to end up. When I got hired by the Raptors, I talked to a lot of different broadcasters, and most of them were ex-coaches that made the transition because I'm an ex-coach.
Mhm.
And one of the things Bill Raftery, who's a legend, Hall of Famer, great broadcaster, was in the NBA for a long time with the Nets, and obviously he's an incredible college basketball analyst. And Raf said to me, he goes, Jack, learn how the truck works. So there would be nights where I happened to be at the arena and I didn't have the game, uh, because of the network affiliations, that kind of
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
So I would go spend a half in the truck and just stand there in the back. And, look, they're all my friends. I travel with them. I'm out with them all the time. But in a different way where I just sit in the truck and hang out and go in, say hello to everybody, and
Mhm.
they appreciate that. And I'm just there observing how everybody works. And because we have a term in TV, there are going to be nights where the truck is on fire or the truck is blowing up, where you're in another city and we're having technical issues and you're working with a crew from another city that maybe is second tier, third tier, and things aren't clicking. And you, as the front man out front, calling the game on the court in the booth, you kind of have to work with that, and you got to support them. They're your teammates as much as you're the,
Mhm.
it's a team. We're all in it together. So when they say to me, Jack, we're having audio issues, we're having technical issues, bear with us. I know that there's limitations on what we can and can't do, or we can't get to a certain replay or whatever. And you at home don't know that.
Right.
But we still got to make it look like it's a multi-billion-dollar broadcast. And maybe that night it isn't. But part of that is understanding the dynamics of the truck and the people that are in there, and the technical dynamics of what goes on, and not sometimes what doesn't go on or doesn't work some nights. And then the last thing I would say is, what's the old line? For every bright light that shines on Broadway, there's 1,000 broken lights. I think too often, I'll just use Canadian TV as an example. People want to be in the big chair at TSN or Sportsnet, or from a news perspective on CTV or CBC or whatever the case may be. Beware. Make sure you don't skip steps. Make sure you pay your dues, and you're prepared when you're in that chair to do it, and do it at a high level. Because if you're not, in our business, the thing I've learned in this a lot is everyone is so busy, we don't coach enough.
Mhm.
And I think in broadcasting, there's not enough coaching going on, and mentoring and teaching. And you have to seek out people that are going to mentor you and tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear. And if you get into that chair a little early because you're just a young hotshot in a hurry to get to the big chair, and now you've skipped a few steps along the way, and you're not getting coached on it, and you continue to make the same mistake. The great UB Brown, the Hall of Famer, had a great description to me about what the broadcast industry is. He goes, and it's this: great job, great job, great job. You're fired. Because nobody tells you what you need to hear. They only tell you what you want to hear. And my point is, if that means going to spend a few years in a small market, but you're on TV all the time, or you're on radio all the time, and you get an opportunity to screw up in a smaller venue,
Mhm.
learn from your mistakes, tighten the screws, get better, get better, get better, keep growing, get better. And now you finally get to the big chair. You're more confident, you're more prepared, you're more ready to do the job. And that's the thing I've seen so often in this business, is that we are, and I think in many ways the networks, and it's not just a Canadian network thing, it's a US network, it's in our business.
Yeah.
Too often executives will throw people on TV. Oh, you were a great quarterback, or you were a great goalie, or you were a great pitcher, or you were a great point guard, whatever. Congratulations. That has nothing to do with anything.
Mm-mm.
Can you do the job as a television personality? Can you do the job? Some can, some can't. And are you going to coach them through it? And a lot of times what happens is you throw them in the deep end of the pool, and that they either sink or swim on their own. And
Yeah.
too often people don't do enough to support them and help and mentor them and help them grow. So you, as the talent, has to understand that you have to advocate for yourself. You have to find people in the business that are really, really good, and seek out coaching, and seek out mentorship, and seek out truth, so that you are growing and maturing and getting better at your craft. So I'll give you an example. I mean, I haven't had any interaction with him, but for a guy like Tom Brady, who signed an incredibly exorbitant TV deal,
Yeah.
10 years with 375 million, 37.5 million US a year with Fox TV, that would be the thing I would say to him. Now, he'd be like, who are you? You're Jack Armstrong. You're Joe Bag of Donuts. You're a nobody. I'm like, you're right. I am. I'm a nobody. You're Tom Brady. I'm not. That would be the thing if he and I were sitting together in a bar having a beer together and we were having a short conversation, what I just said to you in the last 7, 8, 10 minutes would be exactly what I would say to him. And he's a smart guy. I would think he'd go, yeah, that's pretty sensible. Uh, it's one thing they hand you the money and they put you on lifetime scholarship, but you better produce because if
Yeah.
you don't, they're going to whack you. So, and he's gotten much better from year 1 to year 2. So I hope and pray for his sake that he is going about his journey and learning from people. And it seems that he is. But I would say that to anybody, whether they're the great star quarterback or they're not. And I'm not just referring to people that were great athletes. Uh, there are people that want to be hosts or sideline people or do the 6 o'clock news or host Entertainment Tonight or whatever it is, or host what Jimmy Kimmel or one of those people does at night, late night, a Cobra or whatever. You can't skip steps because when you get in that big chair, you better be ready.
And Jack, it's so much easier now in terms of being able to cut your teeth. You can just go on YouTube, start creating and start producing content that can get noticed, or building up a demo that way. There's all these other avenues in which you can take to. But to your point, it's all about the education. It's all about going to these small markets and cutting
No doubt.
reps.
And I would say the interesting thing about kind of like what I do and what a Matt does is this is live TV.
Yes.
I can do something on YouTube or whatever, but I can edit it and I can do 23 takes.
Yep.
If I am a movie actor, I can tape a scene 38 times. And then the 39th one ends up being the scene. But the other 38 end up on basically the proverbial editing room floor.
Yeah.
That you and I never see. And we say, oh, what a great actress, what a great actor. We don't get that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We're on live TV. So when the red light comes on, you have nowhere to turn. And it's the same as a coach. It's the same as a player in that moment. There's no, we don't get a mulligan, like it's, so I always get a kick out of people and kind of what I do when they are critical of a broadcaster or whoever, or a player or a coach. Respect the fact that it's a totally different dynamic than going on a show that's taped.
Yes.
And you can redo it, or a TV show, whatever. It's different. So you got to be on your P's and Q's when that red light comes on.
100%.
And believe me, I try my best to always be on my P's and Q's. There have been moments where I've totally screwed up, and in that moment, you can own it or you can push it off somewhere else. I try to own it and I try to have fun with it, because we're human. We're going to make mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils, and people relate to it too because they go, "Yeah, I'm a knucklehead just like him. I make mistakes too." So there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all. Well, Jack, thank you so much. You are a true treasure to us in Canada and in this world. And it's such an honor to chat with you today. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Payal. I appreciate it. And great to see you again. I'm glad you're doing so well. And all the best to you and your family. And keep encouraging your 5-year-old son to follow the Bills. Sooner or later, we'll break through.
Most definitely. Will do. That was the one and only color voice of the Toronto Raptors, Jack Armstrong. Did you enjoy this one? Well, make sure you tap that subscribe button and share it with another basketball fan. And make sure you drop your favorite Jack catchphrase in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Kyle, and I'll see you again. Take care.